Education systems around the world need more, not less money, the UN chief told journalists on Saturday during a joint press takeout on Transforming Education Summit, an international finance facility for education. He reminded that world is experiencing multiple crises and governments, businesses and families are feeling the financial strain. Moreover, since COVID-19 pandemic began, two-thirds of the countries have cut their education budgets. But education is the building block for peaceful, prosperous, stable societies, he stressed. Reducing investment virtually guarantees more serious crises further down the line. He then spotlighted the role of International Finance Facility for Education to get financing to lower middle income countries, home to 700 million children who are out of school, and to the majority of world's displaced and refugee children. The UN chief told the media that the facility is not a new fund but a mechanism to increase the resources available to multilateral banks to provide low cost education finance. Earlier today, Deputy Secretary General Amina J. Mohammed opened day 2 of the summit, Solutions Day, by recapping the need for education transformation, equity, and inclusion, a rethink of the curricula and innovation in teaching. But loud and clear, we need more and better financing. She stressed, we can't do this with fresh air, it has to be fueled. She described education as a huge ecosystem that supports many other lofty goals and called for a sense of urgency in scaling up projects. No more pilot projects. We know exactly what to do, she said. It's all about taking steps forward. The 3-day Transforming Education Summit kicked off at UN headquarters in New York. It began with a day of youth-led mobilization, which included contributions from the Secretary General, his deputy, and President of the 77th General Assembly. The death of a 22-year-old Iranian woman in the custody of morality police has galvanized women to take to the streets in protest and adopt unique methods to put a spotlight on their repression. Mahsa Amini died on Friday after falling into a coma following her arrest in Tehran earlier in the week. Media reports stated she suffered a heart attack after being detained by morality police who found fault with her hijab headscarf. The incident sparked massive outrage on social media, and by the weekend, thousands of Iranian women staged protest rallies in the capital. Police responded with a brutal crackdown and fired tear gas shells to disperse the protesters. Video shared on social media showed protesters gathering near the University of Tehran, raising slogans like Woman, Life, Freedom. Several women were seen doffing their hijabs in a symbolic protest as they cried death to the tyrant. Many women also posted videos on social media of themselves chopping off their hair and setting their hijabs on fire. According to the BBC, eyewitnesses said Mahsa Amini was beaten while inside a police van when she was picked up in Tehran. Police have denied the allegations, saying Amini had suddenly suffered a heart problem. However, her family has claimed the young woman was perfectly healthy. Social media outcry soon transformed into an on-ground agitation. Protests also broke out at Amini's funeral in her hometown in Kurdistan region. The protests come in the wake of growing reports of repressive acts against women. Those judged not to be complying with Islamic dress code are reportedly barred from entering government offices and banks. Earlier this year, women were prohibited from appearing in advertisements. Under Iran's Sharia or Islamic law, women over the age of 7 are obliged to cover their hair and wear long, loose-fitting clothes. A July 5 order by President Ibrahim Raisi to enforce the hijab law has resulted in a new list of restrictions on how women can dress. Offenders face public rebuke, fines, or arrest. The Taliban regime in Afghanistan plans to ban video sharing app TikTok and popular mobile gaming app PUBG in the country within the next 3 months, according to a report by news agency. Earlier in April, the hardline Islamist group had announced its intent to curb access to the two apps, claiming that they are leading Afghan youth astray. Taliban spokesman said that the ban on TikTok and PUBG was necessary to prevent the younger generation from being misled, the BBC had previously reported. Now, citing an announcement by the Telecommunication Department, media reports state the ban was announced during a meeting with a representative of the security sector and a representative from the Sharia Law Enforcement Administration. The ban on TikTok and PUBG, which enjoy a wide user base among young Afghans, will be enforced in the next 90 days. The Taliban led interim government has directed telecommunication and internet service providers to follow guidelines within the stipulated time. The latest ban comes after over 23 million websites were blocked by the Taliban in Afghanistan for displaying immoral content. Apart from websites, many other forms of entertainment, including music, movies, and television soaps, were also banned by the Taliban. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake hit sparsely populated southeastern part of Taiwan on Sunday, according to the island's weather bureau, sparking a tsunami warning. The US Tsunami Warning Center issued a warning in Taiwan after the tremor. The US Geological Survey measured the quake at a magnitude of 7.2 and at a depth of 10 kilometers. Taiwan media said a low-rise building housing a convenience store collapsed while at least one train carriage was derailed at a station on the east coast. It was unclear if there were any casualties. The US Tsunami Warning Center said hazardous tsunami waves were possible within 300 kilometers of the epicenter along the coast of Taiwan. Japan's weather agency issued a warning for tsunami waves of 1 meter for part of Okinawa prefecture following the earthquake. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a special typhoon warning on Saturday for Kagoshima Prefecture on Kyushu, the southernmost of Japan's main islands, as the region braces for a powerful and potentially destructive super typhoon. The warning came after the weather agency earlier in the day urged residents to evacuate parts of Kyushu ahead of Typhoon Nanmadol, expected to bring up to half a meter of rain when it makes landfall on Sunday. Nanmadol, classified as a super typhoon by the US Navy's Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and has the potential to be the most destructive tropical storm to strike Japan in decades. The 14th typhoon of the season was near Japan's southern Minami-Daito Island, heading northwest at 20 km per hour on Saturday afternoon. Winds at the center of the storm were blowing at 198 km per hour and gusting up to 270 km per hour, according to JMA. Unprecedented storms and rainfall could strike the area, JMA officials said at a televised news conference, urging residents there to evacuate before it gets dark. The special typhoon warning could be the first such alert for any prefecture north of the Okinawa island chain, domestic media reported. Kyushu Railway Company began halting some train lines on Saturday ahead of wider suspensions on Sunday. Hundreds of weekend flights in the southern region were being cancelled, causing confusion among passengers traveling over the long weekend. Russian President Vladimir Putin has accused the West of engaging in nuclear blackmail against Russia and said that the country has lots of weapons to reply. Mr. Putin also ordered Russia's first military mobilization since World War II. He said a partial military mobilization in Russia is sensible and necessary under the circumstances. Mr. Putin stated that he has already signed an order for the call up to start on Wednesday, September 21. In a rare televised address to the nation, the Russian president said that if the territorial integrity of our country is threatened, we use all available means to protect the people. His comments came after world leaders condemned Russia's plan to hold referenda in 4 areas of Ukraine in the coming days. President Joe Biden on Tuesday formally nominated a veteran foreign service officer with years of experience in Russian affairs to be the next US ambassador to Russia. The White House announced the nomination of Lynn Tracy, the current US ambassador to Armenia, to the post after the Russian government signed off on the choice. Tracy's selection had been known for some time but had not been announced pending Russia's approval. Ambassadorial nomination must be approved by the host government under the rules of diplomatic protocol. Such approval is generally routine but couldn't be taken for granted at the time of particularly fraught US-Russian relations over Ukraine. The detention of Americans in Russia, allegations of Russian meddling in US and other elections, and an escalating spat over the staffing of embassies in Washington and Moscow. Tracy, who speaks Russian, previously served as a senior advisor for Russian affairs in the State Department's Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, and as a deputy chief of mission at the US Embassy in Moscow. She also had several posts in Central and South Asia. The previous US ambassador to Moscow, John Sullivan, left earlier this month. His departure had been expected this fall but was accelerated by the failing health of his wife, who died a day after his return. Tracy is well regarded within diplomatic circles. She received a State Department Heroism Award from then Secretary of the State Hillary Clinton in 2009. A South African NGO has been extending help to economically weaker section of Pakistan by providing them bamboo-made houses that can withstand floods and earthquakes. Houses built with bamboo, lime, mud and other sustainable materials have withstood the recent devastating floods in Pakistan, while structures made of mud bricks got destroyed, said Safiha Musa, the founder of NGO Spiritual Code, which focuses on sustainable and eco-friendly solutions to poverty and unemployment. When we decided to extend assistance after 2011 floods in Pakistan, I was very keen on green sustainable architecture. The quality of bricks was substandard, and with mud bricks, houses were not resilient to floods and earthquakes. I wanted to offer long-term practical solutions, Musa told. After 2.5 years of investigation, I made a cold call to Yasmin Lari, Pakistan's first female architect, seeking help in developing a system that would work with nature and not resist it while providing people basic housing. Yasmin built a structure with bamboo, plastered with this mix of life and mud that is pleasing to eyes and very manageable. Bamboo is renewable, has zero carbon emission and can be grown in 3 to 5 years, Musa said. Using this concept, we started building houses in villages 2 years after the 2011 floods. What was amazing there, after we taught marginalized communities how to build houses, elderly women were creating molds and decorative patterns on their plaster walls. It became a community project, she added. After the first houses were built, we also brought in water with hand pumps and wells. A year later, enclosed toilets were the next step, Musa said. In the next phase, an eco-friendly non-electrical stove was designed with 57,000 of them made in less than 4 years, winning the UN World Habitat Award. Australian wildlife authorities are investigating the deaths of 14 young sperm whales that were found beached on an island of the southeastern coast, officials said on Tuesday. The whales were discovered on Monday afternoon on King Island, part of the state of Tasmania, in the Bass Strait between Melbourne and Tasmania's northern coast. The State Department of Natural Resources and Environment said in a statement. The government marine conservation program team traveled to the island Tuesday and was conducting necropsies of the whales to try to determine the cause of their death. The photos distributed by the department showed whales lying on their sides in shallow water on the rocky shore of the island. Authorities were planning to conduct an aerial survey to determine whether there were any other whales in the area. The department said it is not unusual for sperm whales to be sighted in Tasmania, and the area where they were discovered on the beach was within their normal range and habitat. While further inquiries are yet to be carried out, it is possible the whales were part of the same bachelor pod, a group of younger male sperm whales associating together after leaving the maternal group, the Environment Department said. In the meantime, surfers and swimmers were being warned to avoid the immediate area in case the corpses of the whales attract sharks to the nearby waters. 2 years ago, about 470 long-finned pilot whales were found beached on sandbars of Tasmania's west coast in the largest mass stranding on record in Australia. After a week-long effort, 111 of those whales were rescued, but the rest died. Swiss maestro Roger Federer termed his glittering career the perfect journey after he bid adieu to competitive tennis following his last dance at the Laver Cup. Federer played his last match alongside longtime on-court rival Rafael Nadal in a doubles event at the O2 Arena in London. Representing Team Europe, the duo, often called as Fedel, lost to Team World's Jack Sock and Francis Tifoy on Friday. The result, however, didn't matter as the occasion was all about retirement of one of the greatest players who served tennis, and for Federer, it was indeed a wonderful day. It's been a wonderful journey, Federer said in his on-court interview. I would do it all over again. We will get through this somehow, will we, right? Look, it has been a wonderful day. I told the guys I'm happy, I'm not sad, so it feels great to be here. Plenty of tears followed the match with Federer hugging Nadal and opponents. The scenes were full of affection as crowd clapped for Federer from the stands. Federer's family, including wife, 4 kids, and parents, joined the legendary player on the court afterward. Although the match was a bittersweet affair, the farewell was nothing short of a fairy tale, as Federer's teammates and opponents carried him in the air to celebrate his contribution. The 20-time major singles champion last week announced that he would retire at the 3-day Laver Cup. Federer then confirmed that doubles match alongside Nadal would be his final match.